So, good evening to all of you. Uh, Today, as you know, we have a session on scaling techniques, measurement and scaling techniques. We will have a focus on reliability and validity as well. So, I think you all are from social science background. So, I will start the lecture. Uh, Initially, as you know, this is a theoretical concept. So, we will proceed theoretically one by one. And later on, if time permits, I will show you uh, how to calculate reliability with SPSS software. And after I finish the session, I will share with you my PPT that I will use for this session, as well as dataset, if any I use, I will share with you all. I will send it to the other, and the other will be sending it to you, my PPT as well as the datasets that I'm going to use. So, good evening to all of you. I think I'm audible, and there are little bit of internet issues going on. So when I start my presentation, when I will be sharing my screen, I will switch off my camera in order to make it stable. But still, if you have any problem hearing me at any point of time, or if you cannot see my screen, just unmute yourself and talk with me so that I become alert and I know what is going on. And not only that, when I will be discussing the concepts and the issues, uh, if you have any doubt, if you have any query, please unmute yourself and talk with me. And sometimes I will ask you to use the chat box as well, so that I can feel that you are with me, because you know nowadays that we are very accustomed with these online sessions. But the problem with online session is that I cannot see your face, and I cannot judge that whether you are with me and whether you are uh, having my lectures properly, you can understand it or not. So these are the problems that is not there in the physical classes. So we need to use the online platform much more engagingly, so that it becomes interactive as well as engaging. So let us start. I think I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So when I start my screen sharing, just if you can see the screen, just type in the message box yes. So before sharing the screen and starting today's session, as I customarily do, I always start the class with a prayer. So let me start with a prayer. Om, lead us from unreality to reality. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. So now I share my screen. Just tell me that you can see my screen or not. You can use the message box as well. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So actually, what we will be doing is I will simultaneously write in any Word file the concepts if required, and I will also use the PPT as well. So I am switching off my camera in order to make this stable. It was shivering. Now I think it is okay. So you can see the screen, I think. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So today, actually, we will be discussing on measurement and scaling techniques. So what is measurement? Why we should use scaling techniques? And whatever measurement we do, whatever scaling technique we use, whether they are reliable or valid, we need to check that also. Because in research, if your research is not reliable, if it is not valid, it does not make any meaning. So nowadays, reliability and validity are the two important concepts which are being used in order to make your research more meaningful, more interpretable, and more usable. So let us start with the background that why we need to measure our data, why we need to use scale. You know that as a researcher, you have to identify your research problem first. You should be aware about the prevalent problem. You should be aware of any social phenomena, and you need to connect your problem with the social cause. Because if your problem is not socially adaptable, it does not have any meaning to the society. It can be of meaning to you individually, but it will not do any betterment for the society. So you have to understand, you have to identify the research problem through your observation, through your knowledge, through your skill, and you have to identify the root cause of the problem. You have to develop a problem statement. And in order to do that, you need data. So data is a very vital concept in research studies. And when you are framing your methodology, you have to categorically mention that what sort of data you are using in your study, whether it is a primary data or whether it is a secondary data. Now you know that data may be of qualitative, may be of quantitative. Generally in research, what we try to do is we try to quantify our data. Sometimes we are using qualitative data, but we are trying to convert that qualitative data into a quantitative data. Why? Because you know that if you cannot assign numbers to the data, you cannot do any statistical analysis. So in order to have statistical analysis in your research work, you have to convert a qualitative data into a quantitative data. Otherwise, you cannot apply any statistical analysis. So we need to understand that what is data? Data is a collection of facts, which may be number, which may be word, which may be observation, or it may be a description of anything. And when we are collecting information from the sources, we need to collect the data, and those data may be secondary, may be primary in nature. And on the basis of the data collected, we have to frame our hypothesis, we have to test the hypothesis, and we have to draw a conclusion. You know that in hypothesis, you have to frame a null hypothesis and an alternative hypothesis, and you have to actually test that hypothesis. And getting your test result, you may either reject the null hypothesis or accept the null hypothesis. Now coming to the data, we are primarily focusing on two types of data. One is secondary data and the other is primary data. You know that the secondary data is which is already being published. If you collect data from any book or any website or any newspaper or any magazine or any journals, you are using a secondary data. And when you are collecting data on your own for the first time through any survey or questionnaire, we call it as a primary data. Now, after we have collected the data, or rather before collecting the data, whether we are collecting a primary data or a secondary data, generally In case of scaling, we will be focusing on primary data because you have to use a scale in order to collect that data. In case of secondary data, you are helpless. Whatever scale, whatever measurement have been used, you have to take it in the face value. But in case of primary data, you can use your measurement and scaling techniques. So today, naturally, we will be focusing on primary data in order to use our measurement and scaling technique. Now, what is measurement and how it is related to scaling? Measurement is assignment of numbers or other symbols to characteristics of objects according to some pre-specified rules. Basically, in research, what you are doing, you are identifying objects and you are trying to understand the characteristics of those objects. And in order to do that, what you are doing, you are assigning numbers or you are assigning symbols to those characteristics. Now, when you are assigning numbers or symbols, you are going for a measurement. So measurement is assigning of numbers or symbols to the characteristics of the objects that you have already identified. Now, why you need to measure? Why you need to assign numbers? Because if you cannot assign numbers, you will not be able to do any statistical analysis on the data that you have collected. Now, what is scaling then? Scaling is nothing but the generation of a continuum upon which measured objects are located. I will come. Actually, scaling is the extension of measurement. In measurement, you have already assigned a number or a symbol. Now you are putting that number in a scale, in a continuum, and you are locating that where your measured objects or characteristics of the objects are placed in that scale or in that continuum. And there are different types of scaling techniques. We will come one by one. Before going to that, let us actually try to understand with a, say, data. If you understand a data, you will be able to actually appreciate the measurement and scaling. So let me write something so that you understand in a better fashion. You can see my screen, I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us take an example. Say, I'm writing ID, say company, say rank, say score, say revenue, rupees. Suppose what we are doing, I am giving you a table of say 10 companies, 10 most valuable companies in say US. So I am giving one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, and J. Suppose company, first company is Apple. Next is say Amazon. Third may be Starbucks. Fourth may be Hathaway. Next, say Walt Disney. I think you can see my screen. My writing is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay. Alphabet. Then say General Electric. Then say Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines. Facebook. 10th one is say Microsoft. So you can appreciate that all these are 10 US companies, and I'm giving them the ranking. Now you can understand that there are 10 companies, US companies, which have been ranked as 1 to 10 on the basis of certain criteria. Maybe say there are 8 criteria which have been used. I'm giving you some hypothetical examples. Say on the basis of innovativeness, on the basis of overall quality of the management, on the basis of say responsibility to the community and the environment, on the basis of say ability to attract talented people, on the basis of say quality of products and services delivered, on the basis of say financial soundness. So all these criteria are being used, and on the basis of criteria, uh, the companies are ranked, and there are 10 companies which have been ranked in the US as first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. And on the basis of that, say on the basis of 8 criteria, uh, between say 0 to 100 scale, say suppose this is 94, say this is 90, then this is say 86, likewise say 72. So these are the scores from 0 to 100 scale. Scores have been generated on the 8 criteria, and revenue collected by these companies are being recorded here. So this is a data. Can you understand this data?
Yes, sir.
So can you tell me that what does this ID A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J refers to? What does this alphabets or ID refers to here?
Depending on the rank of the companies.
Just a minute. Huh? You can tell that what you are thinking. So can you tell me that What do you think about these IDs? Does they have any meaning to you? I think I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
So please interact. You may be wrong. Don't feel that you may be wrong. Just this is an interaction.
Sir, rank 1 is A, rank 2 is B, like that.
Actually, these are IDs which helps to identify the companies. Say IDA means Apple here. IDJ means Microsoft here. This is clear to you? But
Sir.
just omit this rank. Don't think that you have rank, score, and revenue here. Just think that you have two columns with you, ID and company. So just understanding that A is for Apple, J is for Microsoft, E is for Walt Disney. Can anyone tell me that you are in a position to tell that Apple is better than Amazon, Amazon is better than Starbucks, Starbucks is better than Hathaway? Can you tell?
No, sir. No.
Think that you don't know the rank, score, and revenue. The three columns you don't know. Only you know two column, that is ID and company. So by looking at the ID and company, can you tell me that Apple is better than Amazon or Amazon is better than Starbucks? Can you tell by just seeing these two columns?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So what does this mean? This means that ID is a nominal scale measurement. It is a nominal scale, means it is actually helping to identify you the company. Nothing else. No other information can be drawn. We'll say M is for male and F is for female. So M stands for male and F stands for female. Can anybody tell me that male are better than female or female are better than male by just knowing that M is for male and F is for female?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So this is called a nominal scale measurement, where you just use alphabets or symbols to identify the objects. Clear?
Sir, is it the same as categorical variable?
I will come later.
Okay.
I will come later. I'm trying to develop this concept from scratch. What you are talking about categorical data is a little bit advanced. I will come there. So this is clear, this nominal one. Actually,
Yes, sir.
I think you are aware of that in a primary scale of measurement, we have four scales. That is nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. What ma'am was talking about categorical data is a non-metric data. Non-metric data means nominal or ordinal scale data. And interval or ratio scale data is a metric data. So non-metric means ordinal or nominal. So nominal I have explained. Now I'm coming to the ordinal. Ordinal is nothing but the ranks. Now think that you have three columns, ID, company, and rank. So on the basis of rank, you can understand that General Electric is in 7th rank, Southwest Airlines is in 8th rank, Apple is in 1st rank. So I can tell that Apple is better than Amazon, Amazon is better than Starbucks, Starbucks is better than Hathaway, Hathaway is better than Walt Disney. Likewise, we can tell.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is called ordinal scale data, where you have rank, where you have the rank data. You can say that one is better than the other. How much better you cannot tell. Why? Because then you have to have an interval or ratio scale data. Ordinal scale data have certain disadvantages. I will later come to that. Now, suppose you have scored now on a 0 to 100 scale on the basis of 8 criteria. Say managing director of companies in US have given the score, and on the basis of the score, we are finding that yes, Rank 1 is Apple because they have got 94. Amazon is in 2, they have got 90. Similarly, Starbucks say have got the third rank, they have got score 86, likewise. And revenue collected, say in rupees or dollars, revenue collected throughout a particular, say, year. Of course, it will be a huge number. Now, by seeing the score, can you tell me that ID is a nominal scale data? Rank is a ordinal scale data. What will be score and revenue like? Do you have any suggestion? Anyone?
Can you please repeat?
In our example, ID is a nominal scale data. Rank is the ordinal scale data. What is score and revenue will be?
Is this called the, especially revenue, is this called ratio scale data?
Score will be interval.
Yeah.
Interval,
Revenue
yeah, and that would be ratio.
ratio scale data.
Okay. Now, this is just to make you aware that how this we can infer what scale have been used. I will now go on to my PPT and I will try to explain in a deeper fashion. Now, in order to understand this scale, whether it is a nominal, whether it is a, say, ordinal, whether it is a interval scale, or whether it is a ratio scale, we need to understand the scale characteristics first. And there are 4 scale characteristics. One is description, the other is order, third is distance, and fourth is origin. So, are you aware of the scale characteristics? Have you heard it before?
No, sir.
Anyone have heard it before?
No, sir, I haven't.
Okay. So, just try to understand that when the scale have a characteristics which is called description, means you are using a label or a descriptor in order to identify that object. See, here in our example, we have used ID for the company. So ID have description characteristics. Clear? It is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Relate our example here. Okay. Order. The relative size or position of the descriptors. Order is denoted by descriptors such as greater than, less than, or equal to. So we can say from the rank that Apple in terms of revenue is greater than Amazon. Can we say?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And on the basis of this order, we have ranked it. We are given the rank. So rank data have a characteristics which is called order. Can you tell me that ID have a order characteristics?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So description, order, distance, and origin in that order, it starts from a low order characteristics to a higher order characteristics. Means description is a lowest order characteristics, then order, then distance, then origin. Origin has the highest order, highest characteristics. So in our example, ID only possesses a description characteristic. Rank possesses a order characteristics. What is distance? the characteristics of distance means that absolute differences between the scale descriptors are known and may be expressed in units. Distance means interval scale data. Here in our example, it is the score. So score possesses distance characteristics, order characteristics, description characteristics as well. Means what I am trying to say that if any object possesses higher order characteristics, automatically it means that lower order characteristics are being possessed by that object. It is implied, but it is not true vice versa. Means the reverse is not true. Means if a characteristic possesses lower order character, if an object possesses a lower order characteristics, it does not mean that it will possess higher order characteristics. Like in our example, ID have a description characteristics, but ID does not possess order, distance, or origin characteristics. Similarly, rank possesses both description and order characteristics, but does not possess distance or origin characteristics. Here, in our example, the score possesses distance characteristics, order characteristics, and description characteristics as well. And our revenue column or the revenue characteristics possess both origin, distance, order, and description. What is origin? Origin should have a true 0 point. Now, what does this true 0 point means? Say in our example, if you see here, the revenue collected here, say just hypothetically, say $1 lakh. Here it may be $95,000. So similarly, whatever dollars you have collected in revenue have a true 0. The origin is true, have a true 0. But here we are using a 0 to 100 scale. This is 0 is arbitrary. It is not true. Why? Why? Let us take an example. It will help me to make you understand. Let us rub this off. I think you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Suppose, in order to make you understand, suppose, are you aware of 5-point Likert scale, which we use very often?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Suppose, say, 0 we are mentioning here as, say, strongly disagree. 1, disagree. 2, neutral. 3, agree. 4, strongly agree. So this is a 5-point Likert scale. This is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now again, I am reassigning it. 1, strongly disagree. 2, disagree. 3, neutral. 4, agree, 5 strongly agree. Is there any difference in the scale? Is there any difference in the scale? Same 5-point Likert scale we are using? True or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let us write here -2. Strongly disagree. -1. Disagree. 0. Neutral. 1. Agree. 2. Strongly agree. Now tell me, we are using that same 5-point Likert scale?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So in the first example, our origin was 0. In the second example, our origin was 1. In the third example, our origin was -2. So in a agree-disagree scale, which we have used here, we can prove that this 0 is, or the origins are arbitrary. It is not true. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But suppose you have revenue or income. Suppose one is not working. So he or she does not possess any income. Her or his income will be 0. And on the basis of hierarchy, on the basis of the nature of job, your income will increase. So in case of income, in case of height, a newborn will be having a lower height. When we grow, our height increases. Similarly, age. Those who have not born, his or her age will be 0. When he or she is born, her age will be 1 day, then 2 day, gradually years will come. So what I'm trying to say, that in case of ratio scale data, it has a true origin. But in case of interval scale data, interval scale does not possess a true origin. So this is the difference. Whatever scale we are using, generally we use Likert scale data. Like I will come in different scales. Most of the scales are interval data. They are not ratio scale data, that you should remember. So you know that statistical analysis, whatever we use, it depends on what scale we are using. In case of nominal data, we can use certain statistical analysis. For ordinal data, we can use certain statistical analysis. For interval data, we use certain other statistical analysis. For ratio scale data, we use certain other statistical analysis. But as we gradually move from non-metric to metric, we can use a wide range of statistical analysis. In nominal data, we can use very few. In ordinal, we can use little more. In interval, we can use much more. In ratio scale, we can use maximum number of statistical analysis. So this is clear to you?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
So this scale characteristics is clear. Description, order, distance, and origin. So
Yes,
nominal scale data will have description. Ordinal scale data will have both description and order. Interval scale data will have distance, order, and description. And ratio scale data will have origin, distance, order, and description. This is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
So what is the difference between distance and origin, or what is the difference between interval and ratio scale? Interval scale have a arbitrary 0 or arbitrary 0 point, but in case of ratio scale, it has a true origin. That is a true 0. This is the difference. I think it is clear to you now. So this I was talking about nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale data that we have already discussed. Now, just to make you understand with a different example. So what is a nominal scale? Nominal scale have only description, means you can assign numbers which does not have any particular meaning other than identification. If you see here, one is having 7 jersey number, the other is having 8 jersey number, the other having 3 jersey number. This mean that though the person who have 8 jersey number is better than 7 and better than 3, can you tell?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
No, sir.
Sir.
So it is just for identification, the ID in our example. It is a nominal scale data. Now what is ordinal scale data? Now you see the 3rd jersey number is placed in 1st position, the 8th jersey number is placed in 2nd position, and the 7th jersey number is placed in 3rd position. So here we can rank 1st, 2nd, 3rd. But can you tell me that how much better is 1st than 2nd, or how much better is 2nd than 3rd? Can you tell?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So this is a ordinal data where you can only just rank it. Other than that, you cannot do anything. So nominal and ordinal data are non-metric data or categorical data where you can use only limited number of statistical analysis on those data. That you need to understand. Clear? Now, come to interval and ratio scale data. It is a metric data. So, suppose these players are, their performance is being rated on a 0 to 10 point scale, and on the basis of the average ratings given by, say, the raters, it is coming to 9.6, 9.1 and 8.2. So 9.6 is becoming 1st, 9.1 is becoming 2nd, and 8.2 is becoming 3rd. So you can very well understand that there is difference between 9.6 and 9.1 and 9.1 and 8.2. So interval scale data has a characteristics which is called distance. Nominal scale data have a characteristics which is called description. Ordinal scale data have a characteristics which is called
Order.
Yeah. Now come to ratio. See here, time to finish the race. So they were going for a 100-meter race, and the time to finish the race is, say, 13.4, 14.1 and 15.2. So it means that you can do a ratio analysis on, say, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 1. You can do this ratio. So here, this 13.4, 14.1, 15.2 is time in seconds. So it means that it has a true origin. So you have started from 0. When you have started the race, the timing was 0. So it has a true origin. So this is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, I was talking about what sort of statistics you can use on these scales. If you see here the graph, you can understand that in a nominal scale data only you can use percentage and mode. In a ordinal scale data, you can use median and percentile. In interval scale data, you can use mean, you can use range, you can use standard deviation. In ratio scale data, all you can use, and also you can use geometric mean, harmonic mean, coefficient of covariation, all these things you can use. So as a researcher, you will be convenient if you can collect ratio scale data. Most convenient. You can do a lot of statistics as well if you can collect interval. But if your data is ordinal or nominal, if it is categorical, then you are handicapped. You have only limited number of statistics to use. This is clear to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, we come to the scaling techniques. So we have discussed measurement. We have discussed the characteristics of the primary scales. We have discussed the characteristics of the primary scale measurement as well. Now we are trying to classify the scales. Generally, you will have two types of scales to use. One is comparative scale, the other is non-comparative scale. In case of comparative scale, you may use paired comparison scale, you may use rank order scale, you may use constant sum scale, you may use Q-sort scale as well. Generally, paired comparison, rank order, these are very popular scales which we use under comparative scaling technique. Q-sort is not so popular. And in case of non-comparative scales, there are two types of scale. One is the continuous rating scale and the other is the itemized rating scale. And under itemized rating scale, you have most popularly three scales: Likert scale, semantic differential scale, and staple scale that we use very often. So one by one, I will try to discuss all these scales. So what is comparative scale? See here, one or two types of scaling techniques in which there is direct comparison of stimulus objects with one another. So initially I was mentioning that you have to identify objects and you have to identify characteristics of the objects. So when you can compare between different objects, you are using comparative scaling. When you are trying to compare between different objects, you are using this comparative scaling technique. And these comparative scaling techniques are basically, they have rank order properties. So ordinal data, when you are using comparative scales, you can use comparative scales only in case of nominal and ordinal data. And non-comparative scales generally be used in case of interval data. So what is paired comparison? A paired comparison scaling technique in which a respondent is presented with two objects at a time and asked to select one object in the pair according to some criteria. And the data which you actually obtain is ordinal data. So this will be easier for you if you can try to understand with this example. Suppose we have 5 brands of shampoo, say Jirmac, Finesse, Vidal Sassoon, Head and Shoulders, and Part. Now, you see here, for each pair, which we are drawing in a matrix form, 2 pair of shampoos, you are being asked to give your preference. So, if you just see column wise, you will see that some we have assigned 0, some we have assigned 1. If you see column wise, if you have assigned 1, means it is being preferred to that particular brand in the row. Suppose we are measuring Head and Shoulders with Jirmac. So Head and Shoulders column, if you see, it is 1, means Head and Shoulder you have preferred over Jirmac. Similarly, if you compare Head and Shoulders with Finesse, you have preferred Head and Shoulder over Finesse. Similarly, if you compare Head and Shoulder with Vidal Sassoon, you have preferred Head and Shoulder over Vidal Sassoon. And you cannot compare with Head and Shoulder to Head and Shoulder, so it is blank there. Again, if you compare Head and Shoulders with Part, you have preferred Head and Shoulders over Part, so you have assigned 1. So ultimately, your total preferences is 4. Similarly, if you compare, say, Finesse with Jirmac, it is 0, means Jirmac is preferred over Finesse. Similarly, if you see Finesse with Vidal Sassoon, Finesse is being preferred over Vidal Sassoon, that's why 1. Similarly, if you compare Finesse with Part, Finesse is preferred over Part, that's why 1. So this is how we fill up the matrix. This is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
So this is actually called the paired comparison scale. Paired comparison scale you have to use in a matrix form, and generally you are using a binary 0 or 1. 1 means preferred, 0 means not preferred. So if you have anything to ask, you may ask me on paired comparison. I think this matrix is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now come to rank order scaling. What is this? A comparative scaling technique in which respondents are presented with several objects simultaneously and asked to order or rank them according to some criteria. See here. 10 brands of toothpaste are being given here. Crest, Colgate, Aim, Gleam, Maclean's, Ultra Bright, Close Up, Pepsodent, Plus White, and Stripe. Now, can anyone tell me this 1 is Crest, 2 is Colgate, 3 is Aim, 4 is Gleam, 5 is Maclean, 6 is Ultra Bright, 7 is Close Up, 8 is Pepsodent, 9 is Plus White, 10 is Stripe. What does this 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 means here? What is this scale?
Nominal.
Nominal data.
Nominal scale.
Perfect. Thank you. So this is a nominal scale data. Just this is like ID. Just in order to identify the brands, we have used this. Now, as a consumer, you are being asked to give rank to these 10 brands. So the least preferred will get 10 and the most preferred will get 1. And you fill up this columns. So this will be called rank order scale. So when you have completed this, what sort of scale it will be? What sort of data it will be?
Ordinal data.
Yeah, perfect. You are. It will be a ordinal data. So now come to constant sum scaling. So you are in a position now to understand that according to your research, what scale you are going to use. So gradually, when I will be discussing all this comparative and non-comparative scale, you will be able to understand that in your particular specific research, what scale you need to use. So now we are coming to constant sum scaling. What is this? A comparative scaling technique in which respondents are required to allocate a constant sum of units, such as points, dollars, stickers, etc., among a set of stimulus objects with respect to some criteria. Just see this screenshot. See here, you as consumers are being categorized into 3 segments. Segment 1, segment 2, and segment 3. You know that segment 1, you can tell this as cluster as well. Segment 1 is cluster 1, segment 2 is cluster 2, segment 3 is cluster 3. Means all those consumers who are in segment 1 are homogeneous to each other. All those consumers who belong to segment 2 are homogeneous to each other. All those consumers who belong to segment 3 are homogeneous to each other. But segment 1, segment 2, and segment 3 are heterogeneous across each other. Why I am telling this? Say 100 points are being allocated on, say, these toilet soaps. 8 characteristics or attributes have been identified: mildness, lather, shrinkage, price, fragrance, packaging, moisturizing, and cleaning power. And as a consumer, you are asked to allocate 100 points on these 8 attributes or characteristics. Now you see segment 1, see they are so price sensitive, they have given 53 points to price, then followed to cleaning power, then mildness. But if you see segment 2, they have given highest point 60 points to cleaning power, followed by price. If you come to segment 3, highest point is 20 given to moisturizing. Next is 19, fragrance. Next is 17, leather. Next is cleaning power. So Constant sum scale means 100 points. Constant is 100. 100 point is being allocated to 8 attributes or characteristics of toilet soaps by different segments of consumers. Now, just by seeing this table of data, do you have any idea about the characteristics of the consumers? Can anyone tell me how you can draw inference?
So the people in segment one are more money centered. I mean, they value money over cleanliness, and the second part is like cleanliness. Cleanliness matters for them, like that.
So it means that as a, say, a marketing manager, you are being assigned the task to position your product in the particular segment of market. If you are playing on price, you will select segment one type of consumers. If you are playing on cleaning power, if your brand is playing on cleaning power, you will be targeting segment two type of consumer. And if your toilet soap is a balanced toilet soap having cleaning power, moisturizing, fragrance, leather, all these characteristics are more or less there, you will be targeting segment 3. This is clear to you? Actually, what does this scale, why we are using this scale? In order to collect data. So from the data, we are going to infer that what decision we are to take. So if I have a brand of toilet soap and I'm going to launch that toilet soap in the market, so which target segment of consumers I am going to target and position to. So on the basis of this constant sum scaling technique, whatever data we have collected, I will take a decision on that. Clear? That is my research. I think I'm telling some meaningful points. So this is clear to you, constant sum scale?
So I have a question.
Yes,
The
sir.
points that are being allocated in
Yeah.
this case, are they in ratio scale?
This is,
The points that will be allocated by people out of the 100 points,
yeah.
can they be considered as eligible to be put in ratio scale measurements?
No, this is, see, since you are using a 100-point scale, this is a constant sum scale. Why we are telling it as a constant sum scale? Because this is, you have a constraint that you have to use your 100 points on all these 8 criteria. So this will be a, more or less, you can say this will be a interval data, but not a ratio scale data. Why? Because generally when you are, it is very tough to put a 0. Here you can see in segment 2 only one has put 0, but it does not give a true meaning or true origin. Okay. So
So, but,
in case of preferences, or behaviors or attitudes or perceptions, all the data, mostly it will be ordinal data, maybe it will be interval data if you have used this 100 points in a balanced manner. If you have not used these 100 points in a balanced manner, means suppose you are, see here, if you can see segment, say, just I'm giving you one example. Just check segment 1. You have given 13. There is no from 20 to 100. From 20 to 50, you have not used the scale. Again, from 60 to 100, you have not used the scale. Have you used it? There is no score between 20 to 40 or 20 to 50 rather, and from 60 to 100 for segment 1. This is true or not?
yes, sir.
So you cannot say that you have used the entire scale. So if you have not used the entire scale, it will not be a interval data. It will be a ordinal data. If you are confident enough that you have used the entire scale, then you can say it as an interval data. Clear?
So, but the one doubt is that the language that is put in the instructions It's
Yeah.
saying that if an attribute is not at all important, assign it 0. And if it is twice as important, then you have to mark it, give it twice the value. So if
Yeah,
it is not at all important, is that not coming under the point of initiation or 0 point? And twice important will give twice the point. So there is also the distance is also standardized. What about those aspects then?
I'm telling you that generally in case of say length or height or weight, you have a valid origin. You can prove it. If you are not working, you have zero income. But here, these are attributes and it is your perception only. So I may be biased that I don't like this fragrance, so I'm giving 0. Whatever soap is there, can you put 0 there in fragrance? Tell me.
Oh, no.
So if you put 0, it means that some biasness is there. So in case of preference data, attitude data, you cannot prove that you have a true origin. So mostly it will be a interval scale data if you have used the entire scale. Otherwise, it will be ordinal data. That's for sure.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. So now, let us come to this Q-sort scale. This is a comparative scaling technique actually that uses a rank order procedure to sort objects based on similarity with respect to some criteria. So you are putting some criteria, and on the basis of the similarity on the criteria, you are actually ranking the objects. So this is not so much used nowadays. Means this is actually not so popular. I can give you an example for this Q-sort technique. Say respondents are given say 100 statements on individual cards, and ask those respondents to place them into say 10 piles. So 100 statements into 10 piles. So ranging from say most highly agreed with to say least highly agreed with. And there is a constraint that the number of objects to be sorted should not be less than 60 and should not be more than 140. So the reasonable range is 60 to 90. So the number of objects you are placing in one pile should not be less than 60, and in another it should not be more than 140. So more or less there will be a normal distribution. So this is generally not so popular because this is not rational or scientifically you can prove that on what basis you have highly agreed on those statements and you have least agreed with those statements. So this type of scaling technique is not so popular. Now we are coming to non-comparative scaling technique. This is a most important subject of discussion today, because in our research, in social science research, we use more often than not this non-comparative scaling techniques. So as the definition goes, you can see one of two types of scaling techniques in which each stimulus object is scaled independently with the other objects. Means you are not comparing anything. What you are doing, you are identifying the objects and you are using the scaling techniques to measure those objects. You are not comparing one object with other object. So when you are not comparing, when you are independently handling these objects, you are calling it as a non-comparative scaling technique. And non-comparative scaling technique is basically of two types: continuous rating scale and itemized rating scale. Now, what is continuous rating scale? You can see here, it is also referred to as a graphic rating scale. And this measurement scale has the respondents rate the objects by placing a mark at the appropriate position on a line that runs from one extreme of the criteria variable to the other. So you see here, there are three versions or examples being given. or here you can say two versions we have given. One is starting from probably the worst to probably the best, and in this scale you can put your mark anywhere. So if you put it in the left hand side, it will be tending towards worst, and if you mark it towards the right hand side, it will be tending towards probably the best. And here actually this has not been sorted out properly. It will be probably the worst, then very bad, then very good, then rather it will be probably the worst, then it will be very bad, then it will be neither good nor bad, then it will be very good, and then it will be probably the best. Actually, this has been not ordered properly due to the alignment problem. It will look like probably the worst from 0 to 20, and from 20 to 40 it will be very bad. From 40 to 60 it will be neither good nor bad. From 60 to 80 it will be very good, and from 80 to 100 it will probably the best. So this is a continuous rating scale where you are using the entire scale. Now come to the itemized rating scale. This is mostly used. When we talk about itemized rating scale, you are using item wise. So there are three types of itemized rating scale. One is Likert scale, which we mostly used, followed by semantic differential scale and staple scale. I will come one by one. So just check Likert scale first. So a measurement scale with 5 response categories. Generally, we are using, it is much more popular. That's why we have used 5 response categories, 5-point scale. You may use 3-point scale, you may use 7-point scale, you may use 9-point Likert scale as well. But 5-point scale is the most popular, ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Already we have used that Likert scale, 5-point rating scale, in order to make you understand about the true origin concept. So say here, if you think of frequency, you may put it like 1 as never, 2 as rarely, 3 as sometimes, 4 as often, 5 as always. Similarly, if you are measuring satisfaction, you may put it like not at all satisfied, 1, 2 slightly satisfied, 3 moderately satisfied, 4 very satisfied, 5 completely satisfied. So on the basis of the responses, whether you are measuring frequency or quality or intensity or agreement or approval or awareness or importance, familiarity, satisfaction, performance, you may use this 5-point Likert scale. After the class, I will be sharing this material with you. So when you are framing your Likert scale on the basis of the response set, you can use this scale. Clear? The language you can use from this scale. This is clear to you? Likert 5-point scale?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And the number which we have here put it, you may put it from -2 to say +2. You may put it from 0 to 4. You may put it from 1 to 5. You are free to put any number. Now we are coming to semantic differential scale. This is a 7-point scale with bipolar labels or points. Generally, in order to measure self-concept or person concept or product concept, we use this type of semantic differential scale. And generally, what happens is, these are bipolar points that is being used in semantic differential scale. Now, what is bipolar points? Bipolar points means extreme. See here, one extreme is excitable, the other extreme is calm. One is uncomfortable, comfortable, formal, informal, dominating, submissive, orthodox, liberal, complex, simple. So this is why it is a 7-point scale. Can anyone tell me why it is a 7-point scale? Can you see the dots here in the middle? I think my screen is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how many points are there in the scale? Can you identify?
7.
Yeah, that's why we are calling it as a 7-point scale. So if you are putting your mark on 1, 2, it is more or less excitable. If you put it in 6 or 7, it is tending towards calm. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now come to the staple scale. Here, you can see that the scale is presented vertically for measuring the attitudes that consists of a single adjective in the middle of an even numbered range of values. You see here, y +5 to -5 without a neutral point. Here, see, there is no 0. There is no neutral point here. So, staple scale is a scale which have a unipolar rating scale with 10 categories ranging from -5 to +5 without a neutral point or 0. So this scale is generally used vertically, and respondents are asked to indicate how accurately or inaccurately each term describes the object. So suppose if you think of this as a say Big Bazaar, you are evaluating Big Bazaar on say high quality and poor service. So depending on your positioning, the Big Bazaar management can identify that how they are performing on the basis of two parameters, that is high quality and poor service. So if your uh, say if you are giving 5 means the quality is high. If you are giving 5, it means the service is good. If you are giving -4 or -5, it means the quality is bad and the service is poor. Clear? So can anyone tell me that the data obtained by using this staple scale, what sort of data it will be? It will be a interval data or ratio data or nominal data or ordinal data?
Ordinal only.
It will be generally, if you are using the entire scale, if you are confident enough, it will be an interval data. Both Likert scale, semantic differential, staple scale, all these non-comparative scaling are generally used to collect interval data. Okay.
So can you please explain that?
If you are using this type of scales which are non-comparative in nature, so for identifying or measuring each object, you are using this scale which are independent of each other. You are not comparing with anybody. You are not comparing high quality with service. You are not comparing quality with service. You can see that these are two different scales. One you are using for quality, one you are using for service. So this is a non-comparative scaling
Yes, yes.
technique. And when you are using the entire scale, you are confident enough that you are using the entire scale, it will be an interval data.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So what is the significance here of mentioning it without neutral point or 0?
Here means you are not having a true origin. You are not putting 0 here. So if you are not having an origin, if you here it is an arbitrary one. So that's why we are calling it as a interval.
That's why it's an interval scale.
Interval.
It's just
If
putting that here.
you would have been using a true origin, then it will be a ratio scale data.
Okay, sir.
So it is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
So generally, Likert scale data is mostly used, but depending on the research objective, you may use staple and semantic differential scale as well. but Likert scale is most popular because the stable scale or semantic differential scale, they are not easy to conduct, because you have to understand what is the meaning of -5 to +5. And generally, if your audience or respondent is highly literate, then you can use this type of staple or semantic differential. But if your the knowledge of your respondents is moderate, then you need to use Likert scale, because it is easy to administer. Clear? So
Sir, I have one question. Can
yeah,
I ask you?
yes.
In stable scale, the user cannot, I mean, the customer cannot show any neutral opinion since there is no zero, right?
Yeah, means you are forcing the customer to have an opinion. You are not allowing the customer.
Either yes or no.
Yeah,
Means no neutral one.
Actually, see, depending on your research objective, if your research, basically, if you allow the respondents to give a neutral point, most of them, without going through your questionnaire, will give a neutral point. Why? Because they don't have much time to discourse with. Okay. So generally, what don't actually give much more time, because they think that why I will give so much time on your research. So in order to make them give little time, whatever time they give, you should use the scale in such a way that without studying, without having knowledge, without going through your questionnaire, they will not be able to give a answer.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise, your validity and reliability will be questioned. That I will come now. Okay. So generally, if you say try to understand the reaction of TV commercials, generally we use these continuous rating scales. Otherwise, if we want to measure attitudes, preferences, brand image, all these things, if we want to measure, we use either Likert or semantic differential or a staple scale, depending on the attitude of the respondents, the knowledge level of the respondents. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now we are coming to a very important part, which we are calling as scale evaluation. We have discussed till now about scale. What is measurement? What is scale? Scale is an extension of measurement. We have understood comparative scale. We have understood non-comparative scale. Now, when we have actually generated the scale, we have used the, we have refined the scale. Now it is time to evaluate the scale, that whether it is reliable, whether it is valid or not. So generally on 3 parameters we evaluate scale. One is reliability, other is validity, and third is generalizability. So generally, reliability may be of different types. It may be test retest reliability, it may be alternative forms reliability, it may be internal consistency reliability. Again, validity are of 3 types: content validity, criteria validity, and construct validity. And construct validity is again of 3 types: convergent validity, discriminant validity, and nomological validity. And there is a question of generalizability as well. All these things we will discuss one by one. Now, before going to this reliability and validity and generalizability, let me introduce a true score model here to you, so that you understand this reliability and validity in a true sense. So I think my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
So let me introduce a true score model now. I think you are seeing my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Say, I'm introducing a true score model in order to understand this reliability and validity concept. Actually, true score model, it provides a framework for understanding the accuracy of measurement. We were talking about measurement, and in order to measure, we have used scales. So true score model actually provides a framework for understanding the accuracy of measurement. And according to this model, we can write like this, say, x suffix 0 is equal to x suffix t plus
করলাম এখানে থেকে আমি
x suffix s. It is visible, I think. X suffix
Yes, sir.
r. So here, what does this mean? X suffix 0 means it is the observed score. It is the observed score or measurement. What does this xt means? It is the true score of the characteristics which is being measured. What is xs? This is
Systematic error.
systematic error. What is xr? Random error. Now, try to understand, when you are measuring anything, there may be a measurement error, and variety of factors may cause this measurement error. And if there is a measurement error, then there will be a difference between x0 and xt. Why? Because the observed score and the true score will never match. Why? Because there is error. And what are the errors? The error may be random error, the error may be systematic error. So if, say, if there are no error, then what will be the equation like? X0 is equal to
xt.
And as a researcher, what will be my ideal equation? X0 is equal to xt, because I have no error. I have minimized random error and systematic error. Clear? Now, tell me, which is more harmful, systematic error or random error?
Systematic error, sir.
No, it is just the opposite. Random error is more harmful, I am telling you. Just try to understand. What is a systematic error and what is a random error? Just I am going to my PPT again. See here. It is visible, I think.
Yes, sir.
Can you see the screen? Yeah. What is a systematic error? See, error that affects the measurement of a constant way and represents stable factors that affect the observed score in the same way each time the measurement is made. Means the effect is constant. The systematic error, the effect is constant on the outcome. Whereas random error, you see, measurement error that arises from random changes in respondents or measurement situation. Now, just see these potential sources of error. See, other reliability stable characteristics of the individual that influence the test score, such as intelligence, social desirability, education, short-term or transient personal factors such as health, emotion, fatigue, situational factors such as presence of other people, noise, distractions, sampling of items, lack of clarity in the scale, mechanical factors such as poor printing, overcrowding of items in the questionnaire, and poor design. So let us take this one, mechanical factors. Poor printing, overcrowding of items in the questionnaire, and poor design. So this is a systematic error. Why? Because the effect is constant. Why? If the questionnaire, in the questionnaire, if the items are overcrowded, or if it is due to poor printing, the respondents cannot properly read. So it is applicable for all the respondents, 200 or 400 respondents. Getting my point? So mechanical
Yes.
factors are systematic errors which have a constant effect. Getting my point? Poor printing or overcrowding of the items is applicable to for all the respondents. But random error means some transient personal factors due to health conditions, due to say lack of emotions, or due to fatigue, you are giving wrong answers as a respondent. Or due to situational factors, say there is noise and distraction, he or she can't hear you, are not giving proper answers. So random error may be due to personal factors, may be due to situational factors, and it has a variation in the effect or the outcome of your research. But systematic error, it has a constant effect. So if you compare between random error and systematic error, random error is more harmful. You need to you need to minimize both. But if you compare between the two, random error you need to minimize earlier than systematic error, because systematic error will not affect your outcome, but random error will do. So this is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, why I am talking about this true score model and random error and systematic error? Because if you don't understand this random error or systematic error, you will not be able to appreciate reliability and validity. Okay. So now I am coming to reliability and validity. Generally what happens is, say, if say XR is equal to 0, it means measure is perfectly reliable. So if you have minimized your random error, and if you can minimize it to 0, you can say that your result or output of your research is perfectly reliable. Clear? And if you say that your XS is also 0, it means that measure is perfectly valid. Why? Then X0 will be equal to XT, because XR is also 0, XS is also 0. So if XR is equal to 0, but if XS is not equal to 0, means your output is reliable, but it is not valid. But if XR is 0, XS is also 0, your result, your research output is both reliable and valid. This is clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So now if you come to the PPT, see here, what we are telling, reliability refers to the extent to which a scale produces consistent results if repeated measurements are made on the characteristics. So when you are getting consistent result on the measurement that you are making on a particular characteristics of the object, it is reliable. Now, consistency leads to reliability. Now, there are three types of reliability. One is test retest reliability, alternatives form reliability, and internal consistency reliability. Now, what is test retest reliability? Actually, it is an approach for assessing reliability in which respondents are administered identical set of scale items at two different times under as nearly equivalent condition as possible. So suppose you are administering with a questionnaire to the respondents, and after say 2 or 4 weeks, you are going to those same respondents with the same questionnaire, but the language of the questionnaire is changed, same scale you are using, and you are trying to find out the correlation between the results. So if the correlation is high, say in the month, in the first week of March, you have administered the questionnaire. Again, in the first week of April, you are going to the same set of respondents and asking to fill up the questionnaire on the more or less same scale. And if the two questionnaire is giving you high correlation coefficient, then you can say that your output or the result is reliable. This is called test retest reliability. What is alternative forms reliability? It is an approach for assessing reliability that requires two equivalent forms of the scale to be constructed, and then the same respondents are measured at two different times. So here you are actually preparing two forms. The forms are equal, but in the first part you are using positive items, in the second part you are using negative items. The same thing you are putting in a positive fashion, you are putting in a negative fashion, and you are administering the same, and at two different point of time, it will be largely it will be within 2 to 4 weeks. And if you find that the correlation is higher, you can say that your research is reliable. What is internal consistency reliability? Is an approach for assessing the internal consistency of the set of items when several items are summated in order to form a total score for the scale. Suppose there are say 20 statements or 20 items in the questionnaire, and for each individual item you are generating the score, that is the Cronbach alpha, that is the reliability measure, and you are summing up the 20 items. If the total score and the individual score means individual item score and the total score, if it has a high, if it is highly correlated, you can say that it has a internal consistency reliability. And internal consistency reliability is of two types. One is split half reliability and the other is the coefficient alpha or the Cronbach alpha. In SPSS we use Cronbach alpha, and the Cronbach alpha should range between 0 to 1, and you can say that if your Cronbach alpha is more than 0.7, you can say that your result is highly reliable. And in case of Cronbach alpha, we actually define it as, say, a measure of internal consistency reliability, that is the average of all possible split half coefficients resulting from different splittings of the scale items. Means generally if you split the items into 4 categories, say you have 20 items, you are putting 1 to 5 as one, 6 to 10 as other second group, 11 to 15 as third group, and 16 to 20 as other group, and you are calculating the split halves, four splits. And if the Cronbach alpha result of these 4 are highly correlated, you may say that there is internal consistency reliability. Now we are coming to validity. What I was talking about, that if there is differences in the observed scale score and the true scale score that we have just mentioned through our true score model, then we can say that if there is no difference, if x0 is equal to xt, we can call it that our output is valid or our research result is valid. Now validity, we can define validity as the extent to which differences in observed scale scores reflect true differences among objects on the characteristics being measured rather than systematic or random errors. Means if there are no random error or if there are no systematic error, we can say that there is hardly any difference between true score and observed score, and therefore our results are valid. Now validity is again of three types: content validity, criteria validity, and construct validity. What is content validity? A type of validity, sometimes called face validity, that consists of a subjective but systematic evaluation of the representativeness of the content of a scale for measuring task at hand. Now, say, for example, a scale is being designed to measure, say, store image. And if you want to measure a store image, say, for that matter, say, Spencer's, you are trying to measure the store image of Spencer. And you need to have certain dimensions to measure, say, quality, variety, and assortment of merchandise, etc. So it is subjective in nature. Content validity is subjective. When you are measuring these dimensions, you may become subjective. It is rare that objectively you can measure. So it is not a sufficient measure. So along with content validity, you may use criteria validity as well. Now, what is criteria validity? A type of validity that examines whether the measurement scale performs as expected in relation to other variables selected as meaningful criteria. Generally, what happens is, when you have used certain criteria variables, say demographic variables, psychographic variables, attitudinal variables, say behavioral variables. So when you are having a time period involved, you need to actually have criteria. Maybe psychographic, maybe demographic, maybe attitudinal, and generally these this criteria validity may be of two forms. One will be concurrent validity and the other is predictive validity. Generally, concurrent validity is assessed when your data, when the data on the scale that you are evaluating have certain criteria variables, like I have mentioned already: psychographic variables, demographic variables, attitudinal variables, and there is a predictive validity as well. So the researcher collects data on the scale at one point in time and the data on the criteria variables at the other point. So when you are using a scale and you are collecting data on one variable at one point of time and criteria variables on other point of time, generally it is called a predictive validity. So one example I can give you, say, nowadays in our breakfast we use cereals. So say intention towards cereal brands could be used to predict future purchases of the consumers or the respondents, that whether what is their intention in future, whether they are going to purchase Kellogg or other brands of cereals or not. In that case, when you are using the intention scale, it is called predictive validity. Now there is another validity as well, which we call it as a construct validity. Now what is construct validity? Construct validity is a type of validity that addresses the question of what construct or characteristic the scale is measuring. Generally, what happens is, when you are using a construct validity, when you are assessing the construct validity as a researcher, you try to come up with answers to some theoretical questions about why you are using the scale, what deductions you can get from using that scale. So when you are using a construct validity, you should have a sound theoretical knowledge or theoretical framework about the subjects that you are measuring. So it is really a sophisticated and a difficult type of validity to measure. And generally these are of three types: convergent, discriminant, and nomological validity. With one example, I can try to make you understand what is convergent, discriminant, and nomological validity. By definition, it will be really tough to understand. I will give you one example to finish it off. Generally, convergent validity measures the extent to which the scale correlates positively with other measures of the same construct. So, example may be, say, suppose you are trying to measure self-concept, and you have designed a scale to measure the self-concept not only of you, but your friends as well. And what your friends are telling about you, so if your friends, say you have 10 friends, and regarding you, if they are trying to define you, and if the classifications that your friends have made, if they are highly correlated, your 10 friends, so we call it as a convergent validity. Now, what is discriminant validity? Discriminant validity assesses the extent to which a measure does not correlate with other constructs from which it is supposed to differ. Means it is just the opposite of convergent validity. So, say there is a low correlation, say, with brand loyalty and variety seeking behavior. So it means that it has a discriminant validity. It should differ, because people who are brand loyal should not have a variety seeking behavior. If the people have a variety seeking behavior, they will not be brand loyal, because they will shift to other brands. So if there is low correlation between, say, variety seeking behavior and brand loyalty, we can say that there is a discriminant validity. Now, what is nomological validity? It assesses the relationship between theoretical constructs. It seeks to confirm significant relationship between the constructs as predicted by the theory. So we were talking about self-concept. So suppose brands that are congruent with the individual self-concept are more preferred. Suppose say a man who is a very rough and tough man. So if he smoke, he will be opting Marlboro. So Marlboro is a brand which actually correlates with the self-concept of that particular human being. So this is called nomological validity. And all this validity should have reliability, high level of reliability, because you know that reliability is a necessary condition but not a sufficient condition. But validity is a sufficient condition in order to make your research output meaningful. And now we are coming to a generalizability concept. What is generalizability? Can anyone tell me what is generalizability? In a layman's language, can you tell me what is generalizability? See, as per definition, it refers to the extent to which one can generalize from the observations at hand to a universe of generalizations. So in this, measurement procedures are designed to investigate the universes of interest by sampling conditions of measurements from each of them. So suppose we are working on women empowerment in West Bengal. So we have, suppose we have chosen some samples. We have chosen, say, 4 districts from West Bengal, and we are doing a research work on the extent of empowerment of women. So from the output or the results, what we have got, if we can infer the same meaning to other states, we can call it as a perfect generalizability study. So we can generalize our outcome or output to other states as well. This is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you have any doubt, till now what I have delivered, you may ask me, or otherwise I will actually finish off with drawing a relationship between reliability and validity, because our topic today is measurement and scaling with special emphasis on reliability and validity. So I have tried to cover the concepts of reliability and validity, but due to paucity of time, I will not be able to show you hands-on how to measure reliability and validity with the help of softwares. It will be a different session altogether. It should be a hands-on session. So at any point of time, if I get any chance, I will do that. But today it was a theoretical construct, and I've tried to make you understand these concepts. So I will finish off with by drawing a relationship between reliability and validity on the basis of the discussion that we have made all together till now. So if you have any doubt before starting this, drawing the relationship between reliability and validity, you may ask any question if you have.
So,
Yeah.
hello. So I
Yes.
have this doubt: how is logical validity different from concurrent validity? Sorry, predictive and concurrent. Yes, sir, concurrent validity. How is concurrent validity and nomological validity different?
See, I have tried to make you understand with an example that what is a nomological validity. Say, suppose you have a self concept, and if you have brands, you are choosing brands. So whatever brand preference you have, if your self concept, individual self concept and the brand you are choosing are congruent with each other, we call it as a nomological validity. Say, I am a man, I am a macho man, I am a tough, rough man, and when I'm choosing a brand of cigarette, I'm using Marlboro. If I use, say, uh, Gold Flake Light, it does not matches, it is not congruent with my personality. So then the nomological validity is hampered or ignored. But when I am talking about concurrent validity, actually I was saying that uh, basically there are when you are talking about criteria validity, there are two types of criteria validity. One is concurrent validity, the other is predictive validity. So concurrent validity is a part of criteria validity. So when you are thinking about criteria validity, you have to identify the criteria variables. And those criteria variables may be psychographic, may be demographic, may be attitudinal, may be behavioral. So criteria validity and nomological validity is altogether a different thing.
So in concurrent validity also we refer to the same theoretical concepts, right? I mean,
No,
if you're designing,
generally, see, when you are trying to measure concurrent validity, you are developing a scale and you are putting some criteria variables into that questionnaire on the scale. And as a researcher, you are trying to develop a, say, personality instrument. And on the basis of the personality instrument, you are administering to the group of respondents. And whatever results you are getting, you are trying to analyze. That is called concurrent validity. But in case of nomological validity, whether your concept and the brand preferences are matching or not, that determines the nomological validity. Clear?
okay, sir.
So here, suppose you have a personality variables. So if your personality variables matches with your actual personality, then you may call it as a concurrent validity. But when you are applying that concept to a brand or to a different object altogether, it is called nomological validity. Clear?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Now,
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Suppose, as you said, in the construction of a scale, now
Yeah.
suppose in a study, I need some kind of attitudinal analysis and I get a scale from literature review, which is used generally, but maybe it is in a different societal and demographic context. And I know that my social and demographic contexts might vary in certain cases. In that case, can a scale be used toto or as it has been found through the literature review, or it has to be reformed and reframed and justified before it is used in my research?
very, very pertinent question. Actually, when we are talking about, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
When we are talking about skill development, actually there are 3 stages of skill development. One is scale generation. Second is scale refinement. Third is scale validation. Now, what you are talking is from literature review, you have generated the scale. Okay.
Yes, sir.
From available literatures, you have generated the scale. Now, when you go for a pilot study, you may refine that scale that you have generated. You may adapt that scale. You may refine it according to your context of research. So always there is a scope of refinement or adaptation. Toto, you may not use the scale. Okay. You may adapt it. It's always a scope for adaptation as a researcher. This is clear?
Sir, are there any principles or ways in which it is supposed to be refined or anything in a systematic manner?
Actually, it depends on the pilot study that what sort of refinement you need. You, say you have used a 5-point Likert scale, but when you have gone for a pilot study and you think that your respondents are highly knowledgeable, they are highly educated, you may go for a 7-point scale, because a 7-point scale will give you a much deeper result than a 5-point scale. Clear?
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let us finish off with this again, recapitulating this relationship between reliability and validity. Today we have actually tried to discuss a true score model where I have mentioned that x0 is equal to xt plus xs plus xr, where r is the random error, s is the systematic error, t is the true score, and o is the observed score. And you generally we can say that our true score model is perfectly valid and perfectly reliable if x0 is equal to xt, where our xr is 0 and xs is also 0. So we may say that there is both reliability and validity. So here we may say that perfect validity implies perfect reliability. Means if x is 0, it means that xr is 0. So if a measure is unreliable, it cannot be perfectly valid. So minimum what may happen, x0 is equal to xt plus xr. So furthermore, systematic error may also be present, say x is not equal to 0. So here unreliability implies invalidity. If a measure is perfectly reliable, it may or may not be perfectly valid, because systematic error may still be present. But if it is reliable, if it is valid, it means that it is reliable. So reliability we can finish it off that reliability is a necessary but not sufficient condition for validity. Clear? So suppose your XR is 0, but still it may be so that X0 is equal to XT plus XS. So if XR is equal to 0, it does not mean that XS will be 0. So reliability is a necessary condition, but it is not a sufficient condition for validity. I think I made it clear. If you have any doubt, you may ask me, or otherwise we will call it up for the day.